At a very young age, 6 or 7, I really had a lot of respect for the military. I don't really know why, and I can't trace it back to any one thing, but I always just wanted to serve, and I wanted to be in the Marines. My granddad had been through World War II, and he was in the Navy. But and then my other granddad was in the Army during World War II. So I really looked up to both of them. They wouldn't talk about it, but, they had their old uniforms. I saw pictures, and that just really appealed to me. Played sports, junior high, high school. And the military, to me, seemed like another sports team, really. That was a lot of the appeal. And you got to be around a bunch of people that were, directed towards one goal, teamwork. So that was the appeal there. So I joined the Marines and went to boot camp in August of '88. Got out of boot camp, came back here for a couple of months, and then went to my MOS school for, I think it was 5 months or 6 months. And then I came back. And then about a year later is when Desert Storm happened. Got sent to that. Was there for 6 months. Came back and then just drilled on the weekends like a normal reservist, and went 2 weeks in the summer. And when I got back from Desert Storm, the place that I had been working at before, Curtis Mathis TVs, I was a TV delivery person. They had closed down, and I needed a job. So I saw the ad in the paper and was going to tech, and went and sat for the fire department exam. Not really. I had some friends that were mutual friends with Todd Jordan, and I think that year the movie Backdraft came out, and we ran into Todd at the movies, and I guess that's where I met him. And he was, he'd been a fireman for a couple of years, and he was talking about how great it was. And then I think I saw the ad in the paper, and that's when I really became interested. I really thought that I would leave after a couple of years and go to medical school. I wouldn't call it a dream, but that was kind of the plan. But then I'd been on for 2 or 3 years, and I liked it. I liked the excitement of it. I really wasn't at a very exciting station at the time, and we didn't make medical calls back then. But I guess the routine and just the natural rhythm of the job, I liked, being on one day and then being off for 2 days. I like that. And so something told me, you need to stay here. This is where you need to be. You need to make a career out of it. And so that's what I did. I went ahead and got a degree while I was working on the fire department. Traded lots of nights and weekends. Got a special allowance to trade more time above what was allowed by the rules and regs. So I had to ask permission to do that. And if it hadn't been for Bruce Scott and Eddie Kirkpatrick, who traded time constantly back then, I wouldn't have been able to go to school. But Bruce was always wanting off on the weekends, and that's when school wasn't, so that's when I needed to be at the fire station. So we traded a lot of time, did a lot of studying at night at the station, and that's what got me through it. So I was a hosesman for 9 years while I went to school. And then after I graduated, I decided I wanted to become a driver, and I wanted to go to Station 1, and so that's where I went. And that's where firefighting to me really kind of took off, and a passion for actually going to the fires, because back then a big redevelopment project in town was going on, and it seemed like we had a fire every shift. And so that really set the hook. I was moved up to lieutenant probably more than half the time I was at Station 1, because I had so many ranks above me. When anybody was gone, I would move up to lieutenant. So I really enjoyed that. It was very scary at first. I didn't know if I could do it. But you get several dozen fires under your belt, you think, man, I could do this as a lieutenant. So I made lieutenant, went to Station 7, was there for about 3 months, got to work with some great people. Really enjoyed that station. Chuck Alexander was my captain, and I was the lieutenant. And Chuck was at the end of his career too, so he was gone quite a bit. And so I moved up to captain. But then I got the opportunity to go to Station 8 as a lieutenant. Jackie Jacobs was retiring after a long and storied career, great guy, Jackie. So he retired, and I asked Steve Odorizzi, who was my district chief at that point, if I could go to 8, because I wanted to be a little bit busier than 7 was at that time. 7's very busy now. So Steve-O allowed me to go to Station 8, and there I stayed for about 5.5 years. It was, we hadn't been running medical calls very long, a couple of years, and it was a very grueling pace, but that's what I wanted, and I enjoyed it. Still got to fight a lot of fire. Seemed like we backed up everybody in town, and we had a lot of fires in our territory. Then we got to go on a lot of medical calls. We didn't have priority dispatch system at all then, so we ran on everything. So, we would run sometimes 20 calls a shift. The average was around 10 or 12, but it was a good pace. I always had good people that I worked with there. We had a lot of fun. We got very close, and I enjoyed being in that part of town. There was, people needed us. There was a great need in that community, both medical care and, things were burning up constantly. So it was a good time in my life. When I left 8, I became a captain, and I was driving Royce Etheridge around, and Royce and I had a real good relationship. He was really good to work for. He liked to get out of the station a lot, so we made the station, we tried to go to 2 or 3 stations every shift. Now, some shifts when we were picking up payroll, we would have to go to every station, and I really enjoyed that part, getting out and seeing everybody. So, and Royce was gone some, and I got to move up to battalion chief, got to command fires. That's when you really start to see the big picture. That's when you start to think about the safety concerns even more, because you're responsible for the citizens, of course, getting them out and keeping them back out of harm's way, and the interested parties who just want to come see what's going on and get in the middle of everything. But you have to think about every crew. That's when you really learn accountability in a fire scene. And I enjoyed that part because, I had a knack for, we used the computer to keep track of it. Sometimes we used a whiteboard, but I could do it in my head pretty much. I would do it in my head and we would write it down. But knowing where everybody was at all times and what they were doing, that was just something, it was kind of like solving a puzzle, and it was fun to me. So I drove Royce, and then Royce retired. Then I got to drive Brett Austin, which I had worked with Brett at Station 1 when he was the captain there. And then he made chief and got to stay there, which was really neat. It was kind of unheard of in those days to make captain and then get to be stationed as battalion chief at that station, because Brett had a lot of knowledge, a whole lot. Everybody loved Brett, still do. And he was very personable. He got along with everyone, and he really taught me how to create those relationships with people. And I was still a command assistant at this time. And so Brett and I had a lot of fun. Brett also liked to get out. He liked to go to the quarterly drills that were going on. He was heavily involved with heavy rescue, and that part was interesting to me. And so I really developed a taste for that. And so it just kind of furthered my desire to get to know everybody and to see what all was going on. If not because it was a supervisory responsibility, just out of curiosity, go see how everybody's doing. So that was fun. Then I made battalion chief, and I went to 3 for a while. Got to work with Ben Evans, and Ben and I really, we had a good time. He taught me a lot. He'd been a captain for a lot of years, and he'd worked very closely with Lance Phelps, and had been Lance's CA. So he really kind of, the things I was lacking, Ben, he kind of finished me off, so to speak. he helped me develop in areas that I hadn't developed yet. So I really enjoyed that. And then I think we were district chiefs then. I had 9 stations, I think. We hadn't split into 3 battalions yet. We were still 2 districts. And so we were constantly on the move. There was always, something to be delivered or something to be picked up, or go check on this, go check on that. And seemed like we were always gone from the station. It made the shift go really quick, and you got to see everybody. I enjoyed it. Always had good fire chiefs to look up to. Steve Haley, Ray Cooper, Mike Kemp, and of course Lance Phelps, who I replaced as fire chief. So there was always, a lighthouse or a beacon that you knew this is where you needed to be headed. This is what you needed to be thinking. But as a rookie, when I came fresh out of rookie school, I had Chris Anger as a lieutenant, and he had just made lieutenant in October, and I got on the fire department and went out to shift in December. And so Chris really set me on the right path. He taught me the importance of this job, even though at that time, when I came on at 7, it was at 17th and Utica, in the middle of the neighborhood. It was a very slow station, but he kept me centered and directed. Taught me good habits, routines. When you're the rookie, you're the first up and the last one to bed. You're the first one to put hands on the work. You help with lunch, you clean up, you're constantly moving. And Chris really reinforced that. Then I went to Station 6 and had Danny Williams as a lieutenant. And it was a lot of fun. Danny taught me a lot about this job, a lot about how to deal with people, how to deal with your crew, because he always treated us with respect and dignity, and I appreciated that. We became very good friends. Steve Odorizzi was my battalion or my district chief when I made lieutenant. He taught me a lot, very tactically strong district chief, had a lot of wisdom about how to do the job. When I was a driver at Station 1, Gary Combs was my lieutenant. And Gary had been at Station 1 his entire career. I think at that point it had been 18 years. And Gary, he taught me Station 1's territory. He taught me how things work, east of University, east of Indiana. The way that, the types of construction, the type of fires, and just how to be a good overall equipment operator. What the crew needs from you as an equipment operator. But he started the process of making me into a lieutenant. So he was great. I had Curtis Swinford as a lieutenant when Gary left and went to 15, when 15 opened. Curtis was an amazing lieutenant. Everybody looked up to Curtis. He was an inspiration to me, just to be better, to be good at your job, to care for your people. And like I said, Steve-O had a big impact on my career. He was my supervisor for a lot of years. Makes me feel good. I made the right choice. I wouldn't change one thing on my career path. I would have stayed the same amount of time at each rank. I'm glad I spent 9 years as a firefighter, because I think it gave me a more overall rounded view of what that rank needs, how to the kind of support and leadership they need. It's just a really good feeling. 31 years seems like a long time, and I'm sure everybody's heard people say that it goes really fast, but it does. I mean, you'll blink twice and turn around, and you'll be on your last day. So I wouldn't change anything. I'm glad for the experience. I enjoyed every rank. Being the chief, that's reward beyond imagination, to be the leader of such an organization with men and women who are at the level of professionalism that this department is. Also with the support of city management and the city council to give us the stuff we need to do the job. It's just so rewarding. I can't even express it. When I became the fire chief, I wanted to enhance some of the programs that we already had. We've really been paying a lot of attention to cancer and to mental health. So I wanted to focus on that. I wanted to make it a safer department. I wanted to keep delivering top-notch service, and I just wanted to carry on what others had done and see if I could take us to the next level. Well, as a fire chief, probably the mental health contract that we have with Ray Brockman. That's not very many departments around the country have that one person, that one counselor that the people trust, that they can go, to her and tell them what their fears are and the anxiety that they're experiencing. Continuing to enhance our gear. I'm very proud of that. The roadway safety program that we have now, partially as a result of what happened in January the 11th, 2020. That's a big deal because it'll make us safer going down the road. Getting the burn prop is going to pay huge dividends down the road for our rookies today, but even our experienced firefighters and lieutenants and company officers to come in and be able to experience it on a different level than we ever have in training. The addition of medical personnel, the cardiac monitors, being able to just have better tools and be better trained to apply our medical trait, I think is going to benefit this department. I know it's going to benefit the citizens for a long time to come. Well, overcoming 2 line of duty deaths, and we have not overcome that, or being able to carry on in the face of that. Everybody loved Matt and Eric. They were great guys, great firefighters, great medical practitioners, and they were great friends. And it just left a big hole in everybody's heart. But I think the department came together and knew that we got to keep going. We have to make sure that we put things in place to where that never, ever happens again. It was such a freak accident coming from the other side of the road. We had done things to protect us from behind, but we hadn't done enough to protect us from the front. And now we know that, and it was a very expensive lesson. So putting those things in place, we really didn't have to change the culture towards that. With a lot of safety things that you institute, you have to change the culture. But Matt and Eric, they paid that price. But emotionally getting over that and just continuing with what we were doing and just service delivery. COVID was a big challenge. It was uncharted territory. We, had never experienced a pandemic. And the additional roles that we had to take on during that was a huge step for us. I know it wore everybody ragged. There were things we had to do, to make people go home when they necessarily didn't want to go home. And we had to make people stay that didn't want to stay. That was a big challenge, but, the department responded. They did everything that was asked. They came to us with ideas to make things better. And, the department was going through something that the whole country was going through, but at a more intense level because we were dealing with it every single day on every call. So that was an incredible challenge. But the way the department responded, I couldn't have been more prouder. I mean, we carried the city, it felt like to me, a lot of times. We were part of a larger team, but it felt like we were carrying things. My message would be to just enjoy your time. Put your heart and soul into it. Take care of your families, but put your heart and soul into this career, and it'll pay off for you. We're here to protect the citizens. That's the entire reason this organization exists. And I've always gotten a lot of meaning from that, and I think other people do too. And I think they can continue to do that if they maintain their professionalism, if they think about the greater good that they're doing. But it goes very fast. Study your craft. If this was baseball, I'd say field your position. Get good at everything. There's something, if you're curious about something, look into it. Even if you're not on that specialty team, someday you might be. Appreciate what you have, because it's very rare. It's a very stable job. We've got, good pay and benefits. But the relationships that you form here are unlike any job in the world, I feel like. And I've worked other jobs. It's just a very special place, and I hope everybody enjoys it. It can be whatever you make it. What you put out there is what you get back. And I'm proud of them. I'm so proud and thankful to have worked with them at the station and then to be their chief. It's just an incredible honor to have done that. And I'm going to miss them, and I'm not going anywhere. They can look me up anytime. My plan is to take some time off, enjoy life a little bit, not have to worry so much about so many people and so many emergency activities going on every day, day in and day out. Just to take a step back and look at my life and look at what my next chapter is going to be. Spend more time with my family, of course, miss less events, and just be present with them. That's my plan. That's it. Just thank you. Thank you for everything. It's been an incredible career, and I've enjoyed almost all of it. Enjoyed every rank. I've enjoyed every firefighter that I ever got to work with.